Well, welcome everyone to this first in a series of virtual panels put together by the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub, exploring opportunities and challenges for FinTech in a post-Covid Mauritius. This is the first panel focusing on e-commerce on this occasion. My name is Lisa Desoy, and I am Head of Skills at the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub. For those of you who might not be familiar with the Hub, the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub is a government-backed initiative in collaboration with the private sector, with the aim to build a pan-African fintech ecosystem and to position Mauritius as the fintech hub for Africa. Before we move on to the main discussions, I have a couple of quick notes for the audience. If you have questions that you would like to ask our panelists today, you can submit them via the Q&A tab, which you should see right at the bottom of your Zoom interface. If your question is directed at a particular panelist, please indicate to whom you would like your message to be addressed. And we will try to answer as many of those questions as possible during the Q&A at the end of this session. Quickly before we start our main discussion, I'm actually going to do a quick poll with you all, with our audience. I'm launching that right now. This is just to get a sense from our audience about your engagement with fintech, with e-commerce. And if you could fill out this couple of questions during the event, we will publish the results at the end for everyone. And you can access this poll at any time during the event, just by clicking on the poll tab at the bottom of the event. Okay, so why is a fintech hub focusing on e-commerce for this panel, and why are we doing this now? Fintech and e-commerce are intimately related. Innovations in areas like financing, e-wallets, new payment methods are making online purchasing easier for the consumer. In many emerging markets, it is this relationship between e-commerce and innovations in areas like payments that has been a real driving force behind the growth of the fintech ecosystem more generally. And we are very keen to see that similar pattern of growth encouraged and replicated here in Mauritius. Why are we discussing this now? I think that's probably obvious to everybody here. Whilst e-commerce is not new to Mauritius, many of the panelists have been in this business for a number of years now. It is in this recent response to the COVID-19 crisis that we really see an uptick in consumer engagement with e-commerce and a rapid proliferation of new platforms emerging on an almost daily basis. In putting together this panel, we have brought representatives from a range of different e-commerce platforms and backgrounds together to offer their experience and insights. From large corporate entities to newly launched startups, we hope that this variety in scale and business model will offer the ecosystem the insights that will assist its further growth and development. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's panel, who will be offering their insights and experiences of the opportunities and challenges for e-commerce in Mauritius. Proceeding in alphabetical order, first up we have Vishal.
Lisa, can you release my screen sharing ability?
I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. It seems like I have to do something quickly here. My apologies. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Vince. I can't see how to do that. We'll just do without the slides. Apologies for that. Vishal Anand is CEO and founder of mycart.mu. Vishal has 15 years of experience in technology transformation, digital media, and the customer service sector. Vishal is founder at mycart.mu, which is among the leading platforms in Mauritius, providing online retail shopping services of a variety of products. Vishal, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry, Vishal, your microphone is on mute.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here, Lisa. Thank you very much, participants who is watching this event, and definitely I would like to share some things. Thank you very much for being me here. It's wonderful.
That's great. Okay, next we move to Yannick Kanu, founder and director of Price Guru. As a CEO of Price Guru, Yannick is responsible for operations and strategic leadership of the business. Yannick co-founded the company in June 2004 with Christopher Rayner. Price Guru is a leading online e-commerce platform in the Indian Ocean, offering over 30,000 products through their e-commerce platform. Welcome, Yannick.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this panel. We founded Price Guru in 2000 and launched in 2015, to be precise. So we are a pure player in the e-commerce space here. And if I may say so, we are the pioneers of e-commerce here in Mauritius. We are a fully integrated company, which means we have developed our own technology and logistic capabilities, both of which are at the core of our business. Today, to resume, Price Guru has a community of over 100,000 customers and a team of 65 employees.
Okay, thank you so much, Yannick.
You're welcome.
Okay, next I'd like to welcome Delphine Lagesse, Group Strategic Innovation and Excellence Executive for IBL Group. As Group Strategic Innovation and Excellence Executive, Delphine identifies and implements group-level projects for the CEO with a strong innovation and excellence flavor. Such projects expand from the digital transformation plan of IBL to the group loyalty program Weave, which launched in June last year. Welcome, Delphine. Hang on, Delphine, I think you're muted. 1 second.
Yes, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub Association, for inviting me on this discussion panel. As Mauritians here, you probably all know IBL, but just for those who are watching this from abroad, IBL is a very diverse Mauritian group, and we already have a number of business engaged on the e-commerce, such as our supermarket chain, Winners, who's been operating their online supermarket for nearly 2 years now, and pivoted to a new model, so a grocery convenience store during the crisis. We also have MedActive, our pharmacy operations, with the upload and collect for prescriptions and online stores. We have Phoenix Bev, our beverage company, which offers online branded products and also introduced beverage since the lockdown. Then we have Espace Maison, our DIY store with its online store dated a few years back and offering drive-in and click and collect during the lockdown. We also have Desktop Office Supply, Ala Lila, our online taxi service, and last but not least, Price Guru, one of the pioneers and largest players in Mauritius. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delphine, for that. And finally, we have Suyash Sumaru, founder of Morris Store. Suyash has over 10 years development and managerial experience in software development and is experienced in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. He is founder at Morris Store, which is an online e-commerce platform which allows businesses from any sector to create their own branded online retail shop within a few hours. Welcome, Suyash.
Thank you, Lisa, and thanks to the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub for inviting me on this panel. I hope to share some insights about how the Mauritian economy, Mauritian ecosystem is evolving in terms of e-commerce solutions and how we are leveraging the blockchain technology to bring something new and innovative, but at the same time, of course, to solve real-world problems.
Okay, thank you so much, Suyash. Okay, so without further ado, let's move on to our main discussions for today. Okay. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, Mauritius has been experiencing a surge in e-commerce with new platforms appearing and many Mauritians buying online for the very first time. I'd like to ask our panelists, what trends do they envisage for a post-COVID Mauritius? Will we see the same level of growth, or will this level off as brick and mortar reopens? What are your thoughts? Suyash, if I may start with you.
Thank you, Lisa. I think, personally, I think that the growth will kind of level off to the pre-COVID levels. But what's more important, in my opinion, is that in these 2 or 3 months, people have learned, and let's be honest, we're actually forced to use online services. So we have this situation where we have reduced the learning process or learning curve for using e-commerce platforms. So this is a step that usually takes a lot of time and resources. I believe that e-commerce will grow across a lot of sectors. We're talking about B2C, the traditional B2C, but also B2B. And in the future, in the near future, we'll have new systems, WordPress websites for marketplaces, software as a service, and even platform as a service business models cropping up. Now, this kind of question is a bit tricky because the post-COVID Mauritius is not going to happen soon. The danger of another outbreak will still linger over Mauritius. This means that retailers in Mauritius will tend to have a quite long-term relationship with e-commerce platforms because they know that they might experience the same difficulties in the near future, but of course, this time they want to make sure that they are properly prepared. For Maurice, this is quite interesting. We are focused on leveraging the blockchain technology in e-commerce platforms, for example, using digital tokens for loyalty programs or using smart contracts to track orders. Primarily in situations like this, where frauds and identity thefts become more common, we now have an opportunity to use the technology to solve real-world problems. So my take on this is very simple. This current situation will create a spur of innovation in all areas related to e-commerce.
Okay, thank you so much, Suyash, for those thoughts. Delphine, perhaps you could add your thoughts here. Sorry, Delphine. You just need to unmute you. Sorry.
Yes. So, like Suyash, I will join Suyash on the fact that the crisis has forced people to buy online, and the interesting thing is to compare and to look at the similarities between what happened in Mauritius and what happened in China in 2003. The COVID in Mauritius has definitely benefited the e-commerce, as it was in Mauritius, as it was the case with the SARS problem in 2003 in China, which really helped launch digital payments and e-commerce in the country. And just a reminder, in this year, in 2003, Alibaba launched Taobao this year. It's a B2C online platform, and soon after created Alipay to help solve all the payments and trust problems that really limited the growth. And also JD.com started selling its product online. So here in Mauritius, what have we seen? Just quickly, at the beginning of the crisis, people were really, really scared of food shortage, and supermarkets were just under assault. We've seen that at Winners, our supermarket chain. And when the government announced the full lockdown with the closing of supermarket, access to food was a real issue. So, unfortunately, Mauritians are very creative, and many players quickly reacted to come up with solutions for the Mauritian people. And e-commerce, grocery, and vegetable and fruit stores were being set up every day. And then with the collapse of tourism and restaurant orders due to both lockdown and travel restrictions, many food operators have turned towards e-commerce and online delivery just to try to sustain business. We have seen something like 20 to 30 new online e-commerce websites and a few marketplaces. Winners itself, one of the few established e-commerce grocery platforms on the local market, have experienced an incredible surge in demand. Price Guru also added some food packs for the elderly in the first weeks of the lockdown. And marketplaces were appearing like Mighty Shops, eShop, Moe stores, which could be used by retailers and wholesalers to buy their products. But many e-commerce shops were opportunistic initiatives and were not always prepared for the demand, which resulted in sometimes bad customer experience. And then all the supermarkets reopened after the lockdown, and people got used to shopping in alphabetical order and realizing that there won't be shortages for essential products. They went back to their old purchasing habits in terms of going to physical stores. And we already seen the decrease in online volumes for food. And going forward, I think the online volumes for essential groceries and all items around personal care will most probably decrease. Retailers are now focusing on restabilizing their core physical retail shops and ensure that supply can meet demand. In my opinion, I think online growth on certain segments will remain, such as all the specialty food and niche products like gluten-free products, wine. I also think that the local products, like the made in Maurice products, will continue to grow with people more eager to buy local, as well as bulky and heavy grocery items and health and hygiene products. E-commerce will most probably benefit a lot to the specialty products and brands available only in limited locations, and for products like baby products, home decor, DIY, and sports equipment. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Delphine, for those insightful comments. Vishal, I'd like to turn to you next with that same question. Vishal, sorry, you need to unmute.
Sorry for that. I'm so sorry for that. So what I feel that when we started mycart.mu, it was a very early stage. Until now, it was. I feel that it's in early growth and early stage. So, but it's growing eventually. What I see that. But however, with the lockdown, I saw that the boost of demand and shops were like, because of shops were closed, and every person was like wanted to buy things. And we have seen in our company that how the orders was coming. Maybe the population having an experience with an online shopping during the lockdown, that's a very good thing, because nobody have purchased before online, and even they had to purchase because they need that. They needed those things. So they have seen, many people, they have seen that how easy it is for them to buy products online. And I have seen one of my family member. I speak with her, and she never used to believe that she will be buying online. She used to go outside, and she told me that it's so easy for her to get the product at home. So yeah, in the trend of e-commerce during the COVID, I think it has been grown up, and e-commerce and online shopping platform. I think for electronics and electrical appliances, however, it will be keep growing on this time. I've seen the basic needs of the demand was a lot. To be very frank, that I've seen it was like a huge order was coming for my cart, and we had thank God we had people working, and the team was there. And we did very good in this time, and I hope and I really think so that it will be keep growing in after the lockdown COVID as well. So that's my opinion, to be very honest. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vishal, for that. And finally, Yannick, your thoughts on how things are likely to develop over the next period. Yannick?
Yeah, better now. As all the panel members have already mentioned, we have definitely seen a surge in the number of new e-commerce platforms since the COVID-19 crisis. As they said, the reason is simple. Mauritius was placed under total lockdown in end of March 2020. Supermarkets, food retailers, and shops were closed. In this concept, e-commerce emerged as the only method that could satisfy safety concerns and also deliver basic necessities to families all around the islands. To give you a concrete example, our number of visits has doubled over the last 2 months compared to the same period last year. Our number of new accounts created has quadrupled as well. But make no mistake, the rise in e-commerce is a trend that started long before COVID-19. Why? I just believe that customers today are more and more demanding. Their lives have gotten busier, they prioritize convenience and a great customer experience above all. E-commerce offers exactly that. We make things easier, faster, and more convenient. So the crisis, as Delphine said earlier, comparing to China, has only accelerated this trend. Consumer behavior changed overnight, and we have indeed seen many Mauritians buying online for the first time. During the early stages of the lockdown, the focus was on essentials. The first wave of demand revolved around groceries and food supplies. But consumers quickly moved past the necessity phase as they got used to spending longer periods of time at home. So we have seen a second wave that was a shift to products related to other categories, such as entertainment, toys for kids, games, business supplies, sporting goods. And I must say that after 2 months into lockdown, I think that customers have already embraced online shopping. New behaviors and new routines have been forged, and this is the new normal now. Going forward, I believe that the trend to me is pretty clear. Consumers' appetite for convenience will continue to grow even after this crisis. This will accelerate innovation across all industries. Many traditional businesses, I reckon, have realized that they were left behind during the crisis because they did not explore the e-commerce avenue and mainly relied on their physical stores. Today, moving online is an imperative. So yes, I definitely foresee a huge growth in e-commerce space in Mauritius in the near future. And as brick and mortars will definitely reopen very soon, and when they do, I believe that people will obviously visit them. But we can say that online shopping won't replace in-store shopping permanently, but people will definitely make more purchases online after seeing how easy and convenient it is. So let's not forget as well that we have had experienced a huge demand shock during the crisis. And because of this, I believe that it will take some time before physical retailers are able to generate the revenue they used to through only their physical channels. The new normal means that those retailers need to accelerate their digital transformation and integrate digital capabilities to meet the new reality. Because, make no mistake, this trend is not temporary. I also believe that this growth is going to be all across the board because all businesses across all industries will have to innovate to be part of this new normal. From retail shops to pharmacies, food delivery with mobility, or even being able to pay your bills or insurance online. These are all going to be expected in the new normal.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And thank you all participants for your thoughts there. I think it's clear that you're all identifying that there has been massive growth during this period, and that growth, while some aspects may be temporary, what it's really done is it's given the consumers an opportunity to engage fully with the technology, to be able to see the benefits for themselves, to be able to understand the ease and convenience of using e-commerce platforms, and that this is like a significant step forward culturally for the consumer base here in Mauritius. And with that thought in mind, I'd like to now turn to the consumer base, and I wondered if you could all share some insights on the profile of customers who you have seen engaging with your e-commerce platforms, and perhaps how or whether it has whether the profile of those customers has really changed since the start of this crisis. So I'd like to turn first to Vishal for his thoughts on this.
Sure. Before COVID, what I've seen that people who was purchasing online were highly professionals, or they used to they are user of e-commerce before they have purchased with other companies or maybe some international websites. But after this COVID, I was surprised and happy to see that people who is not that friendly with purchasing online, for example, like a person who is like 60-year-old, they are not that user friendly, but I saw that orders was coming from them as well. So this is one thing. In the place like for locations, I saw orders from everywhere. So for locations, I can't say, but for people who is like not even friendly with computers or mobile, when I see their profile, I want to buy this. They have followed the steps. I don't know, many first-time user, they might face difficulties that how to purchase online, but their need with this COVID, we saw that how to sign up, how to log in, and we were there to help them. Our online chat support was there to assist them, but it was a high traffic, but we did as much as we can. But yes, the trend was changed. People like they never used before, they were using this. Both gender, I can say that it's not only male or female, both were there, and they used payment method, like we were using cashless payment, of course, just for precautionary, but because our staffs and our delivery drivers was taking their in a risk time. But yes, maximum people were paying online. They were using their debit card, credit card. Juice was one of the MCB was providing juice. That's what the main payment method. We also saw that Mighty was people started using Mighty. A lot of payment came from that. So yes, so it was like totally digital payment. We accepted, and it was like all the payment. Like I can tell you, for in 100%, 90% payment, they able to do online and through Juice or something. So it was an amazing experience seeing people during this time that purchasing online. Before I had experience, we had to customers had to call us. Can I buy this? Can you order for me? Can you place my order on call? But they were able to purchase it. Like it was super good to see them purchasing online. So yes, it was a drastic change by the customer user who even don't know how to purchase. They purchased. So that's my thought is.
Okay, thank you so much, Michelle, for that. Yannick, perhaps we could turn to you next in terms of how you've seen customer base at Price Guru change.
So there has certainly been a shift in the demographic of our consumers since the COVID-19 crisis. Once the lockdown was announced, we realized that we were one of the only companies to be able to help out because we already have established technology and logistics capabilities. I'm not sure that many businesses could say the same. So within the space of 24 hours, we had to respond to a food crisis. So we entered the grocery segment, a segment that was brand new to us. Food being essential, demand came from all residential areas of the islands and not concentrated on any specific region. And because we knew we could not cater to the entire population, we prioritized the elderly and the most vulnerable people. Within
Yannick, looks like your video feed has frozen up a bit there. Are you back? Okay, it looks like we might have had a small technical issue with Yannick's feed there. Perhaps we could move to Delphine and we'll come back to Yannick in a moment. Hopefully he'll have been able to reconnect. Delphine, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about customer profiles for the various IBL platforms. Sorry, Delphine, your mute is on again. Thank you.
Hello, and I'm back.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, let's continue with Yannick. Sorry about that, Delphine. Perhaps best to just continue with the flow as it was. Apologies. Yannick, continue.
Okay, so no, just quickly, let's talk about payment methods. So pre-COVID, we used to operate print a lot of cash on delivery. When we created Price Guru in 2015, only 20% of the population could buy online through their cards. But since then, banks have made great progress in allowing users to purchase online through their debit cards. So during the crisis, the only way to meet health and safety measures was through contactless delivery, which means no cash exchange or card on delivery. So I can confirm that this has definitely accelerated user adoption of online and mobile payments.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Yannick. Delphine, now, apologies for that interruption before. Perhaps you could pick up.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Technology issues is very common. So what we've seen in terms of change, I was saying that in terms of gender and region, we haven't seen significant change. Overall, people buying online, there was 50% male and female. And maybe a little bit more women buying online in the 25 to 34 years old range. Region-wise, there were no significant change as well because it was very aligned with the population density. So the main region buying online was the central region and then followed by the north. In terms of age, well, that's interesting. The virus had a significant impact on the age profile, with people age 50 more using online grocery and delivery models for the first time. And what we've seen also in terms of average order value for grocery items was more or less the same, but the frequency was much higher, nearly doubled. As my other colleagues said earlier, on the payment method point of view, You know, in the grocery retail industry in Mauritius is known to be a cash conservative one. So with the crisis, we have seen a significant increase of obviously contactless payment by credit card mostly, and juice, and even Mighty Money. And most probably transactions paid by cash, I would say, will continue to decrease in the future. But what's more interesting from my point of view is, apart from the profile of the customer, what has significantly changed is the purchasing behavior, with consumer priorities shifting. Let me just explain. Before the pandemic, online customers' main priorities were first quality, second price, and then the brand. Now that people are mostly focused on first availability, then price, and then quality. This is very important, especially for brands. I mean, there's the future regarding brand reputation and brand engagement is going to be very interesting to follow. But this is just the beginning. The customer behavior will continue to change with less disposable income in the next month. That's for sure.
Thank you for those insightful comments. And finally, I'd like to turn to Siyash. Siyash, I know that Maurice Store is a very recent launch, so you probably don't have a huge body of historical data to look back on, but perhaps you could briefly tell us a little bit about what your customer profile looks like.
Sure. I mean, just a quick bit of history about Maurice Store. Actually, it was launched in 2014, but it did not work very well for one primary reason. It was a big question of online payment solutions, which were really lacking at the time. So what happened is that for a few years it remained dormant, and only recently there was a big surge, and this is where I saw opportunity. So it was about the right timing. Maybe the timing was at the start. So I think that Delphine mentioned a lot about the recent trends, and which are replicated, I mean, in most of the online platforms. For us, the most obvious trend that we saw was in terms of digital payment solutions. I'm of course referring to the most common ones in Mauritius: MCB Juice, Mighty Money, credit cards, and even bank transfers. I mean, the results for us were quite clear. There was a real surge in online payments. That said, cash on delivery still remains a very substantial part of general consumer behavior. Another important thing to note is that in terms of consumer behavior is that a lot of e-commerce transactions do not go through traditional e-commerce platforms. For instance, WhatsApp has been used a lot as a makeshift and unstructured e-commerce platform. Now, chat platforms like WhatsApp reduce the friction of online ordering. To order, you just send a message, hey, I need this and this and this. But of course, they put a lot of strain on the supplier in terms of management and how to manage so many orders. So, and one very interesting thing is that a large fraction of our online buyers were within the age group of 25 to 55, which does make a lot of sense since they are the working market segment, and I would say Mauritians are quite tech savvy. So this is one of the primary reasons why we actually, at the same time that we relaunched Maurice Store, we also launched Hustle Mania. So basically, it's a blockchain-based loyalty program. So which kinds of create engagement. So what we wanted to do is not only make buying a core or task that needs to be done, but also to make it like something fun, a fun activity. When you buy, you get reward, and you can use these rewards in terms of digital tokens to not to buy gifts, but to get gifts in a certain kind of games and things like that. So all this come together. What we saw is that in terms of consumer behavior, this increased presence online creates this very advantageous landscape for e-commerce to not only do their normal business, but to expand in other little areas to expand their own business.
Thank you, Siyash, and thank you to you all for that. I think it seems clear from what you're all saying is that this crisis has been instrumental in broadening the general consumer base engaging with e-commerce. And from obviously from the Hub's perspective, from a fintech perspective, it's of course very encouraging to see this greater use of different online payment methods. And we hope that this increased engagement with those kinds of methods will empower Mauritian consumer confidence in utilizing, continuing to utilize payment platforms and other fintech solutions moving forward. I'd like to now turn our discussions towards how you envisage e-commerce impacting traditional retail. Does e-commerce represent a threat or an opportunity for traditional retail SMEs in Mauritius? And what advice would you give to Mauritian retailers who have not yet taken their business online? And if we could go to Delphine first for this question.
Yes, sure, Lisa. Well, I would say it depends on what kind of SMEs and retail segments. But overall, I think it's a definitely an opportunity for those who do not necessarily have an established physical distributed channel. So that's for sure. As advice given to those retail SMEs, first, I would say do not start with building the front end, which is the easiest part of this journey. An e-commerce platform is not limited to a nice website, to user-friendly navigation and purchasing experience, but really meeting the expectations of the customer from the start through to delivery. So they need to have a holistic plan by first starting to work on their marketing plan, their unique value proposition for customer and their business skills, of course. But it's important that all need to be well thought of before embarking on the e-commerce journey. And then ensure, of course, that the backend set up well, from fulfillment, customer service, appropriate payment methods, and delivery time frame. There's also the total cost of sales should be managed well, as the last mile delivery is costly, especially for those who do not, if there is not enough economies of scale. It could, I think, and it could be beneficial for them to think about positioning their products and services in online mall like Price Guru or another marketplace. But to recap, I would say start small, learn little by little, and engage with your customers to perfectly understand their needs. Yeah, I think this is critical to any business anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Delphine. Thank you. So perhaps we could move to Yannick now for your thoughts on this area.
So I do believe, without a doubt, it remains a huge opportunity for retail SMEs. Why? Because I believe that the crisis has shown us that first of all, smaller businesses tend to be more agile as compared to bigger and more established ones. So SMEs need to use the agility to continue innovating and build their competitive advantage. Certainly, as Delphine said earlier, it comes with its shares of challenges. E-commerce is an asset-intensive, capital and asset-intensive business. So in order to succeed in this space, you have to have a good combination of technology expertise, logistics, managing your data, great customer experience, and I must say a very hard-working team as well. So obtaining this combination takes time, and the learning curve can be quite costly. So if my advice would be to the SMEs, if you have the capital to invest in all these capabilities, then great, go for it. And be prepared, though, to be working really, really hard. But you need to be able to keep up also with technological trends and market trends. So this is a bit difficult as well. And if you don't have the capital, especially in those uncertain times like these, where entrepreneurs are experiencing financial hardships, then the best way, according to me, is to collaborate with existing marketplaces, such as Price Guru, for example, that already have the expertise, huge traffic, large customer database, data on consumer behavior, and the technological and logistical capabilities in place. It is, for my sense, a cheaper, quicker and more effective go-to-market solution to move online and adapt quickly to this new normal. So it is certainly easier than setting up your own website and infrastructure. Take Amazon, for example. More than 50% of Amazon's revenue comes from third-party sellers. This means SMEs would benefit from an enhanced visibility and exposure. They can reach new market segments, increase their engagement with their customers, and they have been able to grow their business essentially. If you were to obtain the same benefits in traditional way, you would have to be present in big mall with high traffic. Overhead costs would be really high. I would say that e-commerce gives you all those benefits and even more at a fraction of this cost. So I would definitely encourage those SMEs to try to venture with existing marketplaces to go quicker at a cheaper cost.
Great, thank you for that. Suyash, let's move to you next, if we may.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I believe that my answer would be biased to such a question, but I try to be as objective as possible. I mean, for me, the threat is not really from e-commerce platforms like Moristo, MyCard, or Price Guru. The threat is really the uncertainty surrounding the current environment, and there needs to be solutions, as simple as that. One of the most obvious solutions is the use of e-commerce platforms, not to replace, but instead to complement the activities. My advice would be simple. Many businesses in Mauritius do not have a structured digital system to manage their day-to-day activities, as Delphine mentioned earlier. As such, an e-commerce solution is not only a way to sell online, but instead a step towards digitizing their current business structure. I'm referring to setting up their stock or inventory system, having a better management process for the financial activities, allow for better tracking, better analytics. The analytics bit is really important. Currently, a lot of businesses in Mauritius, I would say actually most of them do not have any analytics. I'm talking about SMEs, of course, and small businesses. It's more of a day-to-day business activity without any real insight on how well they are performing. So an e-commerce platform automatically records all this information and makes them available quickly and easily to business owners. So for me, this is a big advantage. Business owners could actually see in real time how well they are doing, and very importantly, plan for the future. So I think that in the big scheme of things, having an e-commerce solution will only help in the short term for sure, but also in the long term.
Okay, thank you so much, Suyash. I think there's some very interesting points coming out here and some great advice. Vishal, your thoughts on this? Sorry, Vishal, hang on, you're on mute.
Sorry. Okay. E-commerce is a modern way of shopping. Okay. And I really feel that SMEs and every person who want to sell their product should be online. There are many platforms available, as every person, the panelists said that. Many companies are there whose website is already set up, the process is there, their traffic is there, engagement is there, and they know which customers or what they want to buy. The very easy way for them to suggest is that set up a Facebook page. This is a very easy to set up, and they can be online, they can show their products. It's as every person said that to know the customer and what they want to buy. Okay, that's very important to find. For example, a lady want to buy a pressure cooker, where she need to buy that. It's and you have that coming online and setting up your website, and to show that lady that pressure cooker is not easy. So if you don't have data, if you don't have your skill on digital media, and many other things are there, if you don't have, you won't be able to provide the right person and right time, right products. So yes, there are companies. Myka.mu, since starting, our main reason was to create a platform. Then after that, we have started selling our own products. For us, like if anyone want to sell their products online, it's very simple to just click open your shop. They can create their own brand, and it's free. the most part is like free. MyCard.mu is the only company, I think, we do free delivery on any purchase. Like even you buy a product which is costing 100 rupees around the island, and we do, since starting, we do free delivery. So yes, my advice is for them, don't just jump into e-commerce website setting up right now, but before do proper research, and if it's possible, go for existing companies who can help you to come online and showcase their product. It will be easier for them to sell and having a good number of traffic and for sure sales. Yeah, that's my thought.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. I think it's really clear there's been some great advice there, and I'm seeing two key trends there. You all universally see opportunity in this movement for SMEs. And I think it's interesting that all of you have picked out the importance of making the customer centric to how you structure your business, always keeping them in mind. And also to not just focus on that front end, that it's really the back end and the logistics need as much work, if not even more. And that collaboration might be a key way to navigate the transition online rather than trying to do everything for yourself. So I think there are some great little bits of advice in there for those considering this kind of digital transformation. For our final question today, before we turn to the Q&A, I'd like to turn to the challenges that you foresee in growing this sector in the future. What do you view as the core blockers to further growth in the e-commerce sector? And how are you working to overcome these? And how might the ecosystem work together to promote this growth? And I'd like to go to Yannick first for this.
So to be quite honest, when you're a startup, access to capital through traditional banking is a huge challenge. Banks do not support tech startups, mainly because they don't take into consideration intangible assets as collateral, even though intangible assets have a lot of value. In our cases, Price Guru's cases, we were able to raise capital through a Series A funding in 2018 with IBL, which has been a driving force in our growth. Fortunately, for the ecosystem, we have seen an increase in alternative financing solutions through private equity, crowd lending, some private investors, and also VCs. According to the UN e-commerce index, Mauritius is ranked #1 in Africa when it comes to readiness for online shopping. This is based on indicators like our internet usage, bank or mobile money penetration, the availability of internet servers, and the reliability of our postal services. So this is great already. We've got very innovative telecom companies, I believe a willingness from the government to develop this industry. We've got incubators and accelerators, and we've also got decent road infrastructure, even if the last mile delivery remains a huge challenge. Based on these criteria, I believe that Mauritius has everything it needs for e-commerce business to thrive. What we need maybe is having a more innovation culture. For this, we need to have all the players of the ecosystem working together towards a common vision. I also believe that we need to have schools and universities to equip local and foreign students with skills of the future. We need to have also, I would say, a strong developer/coder community. Because let's not forget, Mauritians are entrepreneurs. It's in our DNA. And if we put innovation at the heart of educational systems, whether it's secondary or tertiary, I believe growth in this sector will be unparalleled. So we need to put energy in this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yannick, for that. Suyash, your thoughts on blockers and how to unblock them?
Yeah, so complementing what Yannick said, yeah, definitely funding is a real issue for tech startups here in Mauritius. Actually, right now, I think it's a given that when you launch a tech startup, you don't depend on any outside funding. You just bootstrap everything and get started. So for me too, I will start with a bit of history. So Mauristo was launched in 2014 under a different name, but it did not take off because of one main difficulty: online payment. Getting a merchant account at that time took forever. So my marketing message was the following: look, if I had a potential customer, I would say to him, look, I can create your online shop in 2 hours, but you know what, to get a merchant account, it would take you like between 3 to 6 months. And the obvious answer was, okay, yeah, I'm not interested. So, but the current crisis changed things drastically because suddenly everyone is realizing that this current situation could threaten their whole business, and everyone is now trying to work together. For me, payment solutions are the main problem points in the current ecosystem, and for one particular reason. At the end of the day, they are being managed by banks, which are themselves very heavily regulated. So, and if we include the transaction fees on top of that, which are being passed down the online shops, then this becomes a real problem. One of the ways that this could be partially solved is through the use of digital currencies with much lower transaction fees, which are much quicker. For instance, in the last 2 or 3 months, the Bank of Mauritius announced that they are working on a CBDC, or what we call a central bank digital currency. Even if this is not probably going to happen soon, but this could be a real boost to e-commerce platforms and to e-commerce activities here in Mauritius.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, great. Vishal, let's move to you. I do have to say we are starting to run out a little bit on time, so let's try and get to the points quickly. Thank you.
I won't repeat what my colleagues said that. I will go with something which we have to also concern for that, because yes, these are the things which is very important, funding and everything. As a startup, I know how painful it is, and going with that. So anyways, what we know that Mauritius have an aging population, and the focus for like they still focus on traditional trade, going to shops and everything. At MyCart, first we started like to shifting this population, or shifting as much people to buying online. Okay, so this is one thing, and the second thing we have saw that during this pandemic, a lot of pseudo e-commerce companies, they started opening up, and we have seen kind of like issues with them, like they have opened and they closed their page or something like that. So this is what we have seen, and customers say that, okay, maybe I won't be paying you before, and after receiving the product I'll be paying. And even that we have said that no, this is we are not accepting like payment on delivery. But still, this is what we have seen kind of challenges during this time. Today we have seen that one more thing is that I want to tell you. For us, for online e-commerce companies, everyone, our main issue or objective is to bring this person who still believe in traditional shopping, to make them come online, and they make them believe and trust that what they are seeing, they are purchasing it. Despite we have some and if they are not satisfied, they are not happy with the products, there is a return policy, which we really focus on that. So yes, so the main challenge for me is that to bring these traditional shoppers to trust on online companies and start buying online. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Vishal. And finally, Delphine, your thoughts in this area.
Yeah, when I think of the core blockers, I would first say the economic situation, unfortunately, with many job losses and purchasing power decreasing in the coming months. This is going to be very challenging. The second blockers is the supply chain and logistics, which are in the e-commerce key factors, and they can become a challenge for imported products with the disruption that we have seen caused by COVID-19. Another core blockers for me is the people digital literacy level, which is very important, core blocker. And this goes from digital payment adoption to access to equipment and internet. And it is important to ensure that it is tackled properly to guarantee financial inclusion for everyone. I would just insist on this last point because this is going to impact on many aspects of people going forward in Mauritius. It's very important to ensure everyone is properly equipped with the right tools, because people without access to digital payments not only miss out on tool to ensure quarantine measure during outbreaks, but also the benefits of financial inclusion, and even more, digitize global trade beyond COVID-19. So to make sure nobody is left, we have to be very focused on this financial inclusion. Another core blocking factor that I see is bad customers experience. This can be very harmful for the sector, from customer service to online fraud. And here, I think institutions like Consumer Protection Unit should be involved and work together with all the e-commerce players. Then, of course, the competition from international players, such as AliExpress, Amazon, and eBay. And last but not least, I've already mentioned that earlier, but the last mile delivery costs represent an important one, with people preferring to buy with a 200, 250 rupee, which is generally the delivery cost in groceries, to buy products with that than to pay for delivery. But of course, there are many things we can do to promote growth and try to unblock these barriers. First thing I would say is that all the e-commerce players should come together on a common platform like an association and work with the governments to put appropriate legislation around e-commerce in place. And then it will be really critical and essential to come up with a solution to address the last mile delivery challenge. And here I think there could have nice business opportunities to put in place. With regards to what we said earlier for the SMEs, I think the government should come up with incentives and support to encourage them to take their business online. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of you for your insights. It seems that there is quite a large variety of diverse challenges facing the sector there. I see consensus around obviously access to finance, cultural challenges with the consumer base and addressing digital financial literacy, issues around skills in the workforce and making sure that we have the right skill sets, particularly in areas like coding and customer service training, etc. So it's a mixture of these and obviously with technological and, as Delphine just pointed out at the end there, logistical and regulatory challenges. So it seems that there's a lot there for the ecosystem to sort of come together around, and we hope that a collaborative approach is something that the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub will be looking carefully at how we can spearhead that movement. So our time is coming to an end here. Before we move on to answering your questions, I'm going to take a very brief moment to reflect on what we have been hearing with our panelists and also give them an opportunity to make a very brief closing statement because we are actually really up against the wire on the time here. I think it's clear from the answer we've heard today that there are some really strong areas of consensus regarding the opportunities that e-commerce has for Mauritius. The COVID-19 crisis has really sparked a period of disruption and dislocation. As we've heard from our panelists, we've seen a significant rise in consumer interest and uptake of e-commerce, with an associated rise in the use of online banking and digital payments. And for this growth to be sustained long term, we will have to come together as an ecosystem to address many of the blockers that have been identified. As I said before, Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub will be analysing carefully the responses and the insights that you've shared with us today, especially in respect to the blockers, to see if we can identify ways in which we can help bring the community together to address these issues and help to promote growth. Before I ask our panelists for their final words, I'm just going to quickly pull up the poll that we set going earlier and publish the results just so that everybody gets the chance to see what we've got here. It looks like we have got the majority of our participants have been actively using e-commerce platforms throughout the crisis and have also been using platforms before this crisis. So the vast majority of people overall are engaging with e-commerce among our audience groups here. The primary way in which they're paying is via online banking platforms. So it's great to see growth in that area. Apparently you can't, oh, sorry, I haven't hit the share button. There you go. Now you should all be able to see those results. So apologies for that. Yes, as you can see, the majority of people have been engaging with e-commerce. For some of them, it's their first time, but for the majority, we're a self-selecting bunch in this group. We're already quite engaged in e-commerce, it seems. And there's a few here who haven't yet taken the plunge. Hopefully we can inspire them to do that. And yeah, just to recap, online banking is the main way that people have been paying, but also we're seeing some growth there with engagement with some of the new platforms like Mighty Money. So, so there's a few insights that have come from that. And now I will turn to our panelists for their final word. Excuse me a second. Just to close by asking them what their final thoughts are and what they hope that the audience takes away from the event. And I'd like to ask them to please be super brief with this because we are running over time. Thank you. So let's turn to, let's just go down the line. Vishal, can I ask you to go first here?
Vishal, you're still on mute.
Sorry, Vishal, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry, so sorry. Yeah, my final thought for this event is for the viewers who is viewing that. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub for organizing this. Yes, we have a lot of challenges. We have to come together, whoever in an ecosystem, and work together to see the prospect where we can merge ourselves and do something amazing work. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Delphine, your final thoughts.
Yes, thank you. So thank you for the invite. Thanks for the experience as well. Very, very nice. I think it's very clear that in Mauritius, e-commerce is accelerating and it will last. Consumer habits and preferences will continue to change with consumers adapting to the new normal. What's important is to make sure that we benefit and we take this opportunity of business, of e-commerce business by including everyone, because it's only, especially in Mauritius, our small country, is only together that we can achieve great stuff. So, and thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Suyash, final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think that the new generation of e-commerce solutions will bring more innovation in terms of consumer engagement, security, and cost. And I think that leveraging the blockchain technology is at the heart of making this happen. And we as a solution provider, we are confident that using everything that we have at our disposal, we can help in alleviating the difficult economic conditions that will become the norm for the next few months. And I would also like to extend my thanks again to the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub for having us here.
Okay, thank you so much, Suyash. And Yannick, your final thoughts.
So yeah, I think this crisis has made it pretty clear that e-commerce is the new present and definitely the future. There is a huge opportunity for the tech industry in general, whether it is e-commerce, fintech, or even mobility businesses in Mauritius. So in closing, my advice goes out to traditional retailers. You guys need to migrate online and you need to do it now. Very important. And thank you, Lisa, for the invitation and everyone for your time. It's been a real pleasure being part of this panelist today.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Okay, so we are very short of time, but we have had enormous interest in the Q&As. With over almost 40 questions, which we're obviously sadly not going to be able to get to. So I'm just going to take a few questions from our Q&A in the couple of minutes that we have left. And it would be great if our panelists could give their thoughts very briefly on those questions. So the first question that I have here has actually come in from Finland. And it's a question about, is it mainly the affluent ones using e-commerce services in Mauritius and those connected to the internet? What is the penetration rate for digital literacy in Mauritius? And is everyone being included? I think this speaks a little bit to what Delphine was saying around issues of education and inclusiveness. Delphine, perhaps you could pick up a little bit on this.
Yeah, digital literacy is let's say, the privilege of not everyone in Mauritius, unfortunately. Of course, the young professionals are online, they're all tech savvy and so on. But for our older people and also for our people living in difficult zones and difficult social conditions, we have a lot to do. And our schools need to be equipped with the proper tools so that we can embark the people the earliest possible, and we have a digital savvy population in general. But we have a lot to do.
Thank you for that, Delphine. So we have another question here that has come in, and this is around blockchain. So maybe this is a good one for you, Suyash. Using blockchain for e-commerce is not a sustainable solution. Having multiple servers holding the same copy of the ledger uses more energy. How can you see a brighter future with blockchain if the sustainability issues are not addressed? Suyash, perhaps you could give your thoughts here.
Yeah, sure. So this is a very common misconception about blockchain, about its sustainability problems. But the idea behind using blockchain for e-commerce is not really to replicate traditional databases. Far from that. It's the possibility to create an open system for e-commerce solutions. For example, we could have a digital payment, blockchain-based digital payment solution that all e-commerce platforms could share in Mauritius. So things like that would be hugely beneficial. Imagine that these systems like that could actually not replace traditional banking solutions, but like complement them, and which would be much faster, much quicker. So blockchain is here not to replace traditional e-commerce solutions, but instead to create a more open system, a more efficient system, I would say.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Suyash. I hope that's helped to dispel some of those misconceptions. We have another question here quickly. There were major security concerns with respect to some of the platforms that popped up during the crisis. There is a need for a local authority which certifies that online platforms are secure and safe for users. For instance, we found a lot of scams where people were entering credit card details and they get ripped off without delivery. It can be easy and convenient, but how do we ensure safety and genuineness? Did anybody on the panel particularly have experience in this area or would like to pick up here? Yannick, perhaps we could turn to you.
I mean, obviously fraud is definitely something happening. People being locked down, looking for solutions to buy, food essentials online. It's always very difficult for a consumer. At the end of the day, it's like, when you buy internationally, you need to make your research and understand and do a background check. It's very difficult now I understand, for the customer to be trusting a new platform. And obviously, authorities such as the cybercrime and the customer protection unit should be looking into it. Now, what would be the option eventually? Yeah, it is a good idea to have a certification of a local authority who could certify that those platforms are safe and secured. But again, hackers, Amazon got hacked, Visa got hacked. So today cybersecurity is definitely a concern, and then hackers are in general ahead of this cybersecurity. So it's very difficult as well to be able to be bulletproof at 100%. So yeah, I understand the concerns. And we at Price Guru, we have all increased our security. We use the payment gateway of MCB as well. We've made a few choices that makes it a bit more difficult for hackers to be stealing customers' data, mainly credit cards data. Hackers comes in in general in e-commerce mainly to steal credit card data. They're not here to take your code or stuff like that. So yeah, I hope I've managed to reply to the question.
I mean, I think if I can add also here that, and I think this goes back a little bit to what Delphine was drawing on as well. Education is really a key tool here in helping to address the consumer empowerment to feel safe, to be able to engage with payments online, to be able to really feel confident using e-commerce platforms. I think that this digital financial literacy has got to be very, very central to everything we try to do to expand this sector. And I think that's true beyond e-commerce. I think that financial literacy in general is an issue in many countries in the world, very much so here. And it is one of the core focuses for the skills program for the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub is to try and address this underlying issue, because I think it's a core blocker for everybody here. So we are actually already 15 minutes over schedule. So I think as many questions as we have, unfortunately, with 35 plus, we're not going to get to them all. So I'd like to take this opportunity to really thank our panelists today for their participation and for giving up their time to give us their insights. So thank you so much, Vishal, Delphine, Suyash, and Yannick. I hope that the audience here has really had a good session and have been able to draw a number of useful insights that they're able to take back to their own businesses. We will try to address some of the questions from the Q&A afterwards and try and see if we can get some responses out. But obviously with such a large number of questions, we're not going to be able to address everything. So thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you so much to our attendees for being here and for taking part and coming to listen. I hope you've enjoyed the session. If you'd like to learn more about the Mauritius Africa FinTech Hub, any of our panelists, or if you would like to be involved in our events in the future, please do sign up on our mailing list on the website or follow us on social media. And we look forward to welcoming you to another of our events very soon. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.